브랭스톤홀 아시아 9학년 조유홍 학생입니다. 4.3 사건의 아픔을 딛고 더 나은 미래적 가치를 위해 Overcoming the Pain of the Jeju April 3rd Uprising and Massacre for a Better Future 란 주제로 발표하겠습니다.
Every night, my grandmother cried, holding me and wept. I miss my mom so much too. I'm so lonely. Being such a small child, I could not understand what she meant. I just had a vague idea that my grandmother is just a depressed person. I was able to understand my grandmother's sadness when I grew up a little more. My great-grandfather left for Japan on a smuggler ship after hearing from his brother-in-law that he could die tonight when the April 3rd incident occurred. 5 years later, my great-grandmother also left for Japan on a smuggler ship in search of her husband, who she had lost contact with. Since both of her parents left her, my grandmother became distressed and was not able to have proper meals and go to school for many years. My grandmother was separated from the age of 7 until she passed away. Even after 1965 Korea-Japan agreement, my grandmother's parents could not return to Korea as they were afraid of being falsely accused of being Communist Party member. However, my grandmother lived apart from her parents all her life and grew up without having warm meals, getting a warm hug, or hearing a word of love. Perhaps the lack of love for her parents followed her throughout her whole life. What and who caused my grandmother to be an orphan? The April 3rd incident caused my grandmother to be an orphan, causing her indelible pain and deep loneliness. The April 3rd incident ruined not only the life of my grandmother, but also those of the entire residents of Jeju. Their families and friends were killed or injured for no reason. Some who survived were not even allowed to live normal lives as they were falsely accused of being Communist Party members. No one wanted such a horrible life, and they had to look for ways to survive without knowing why they had to live. The reality behind the April 3rd instance was a large scale of people who had different ideas of their own country that carried out by those in power in the name of ideology. Through the government at the time, it showed how cruel society can become when the government does not care for their own people's lives and does not acknowledge the diversity and differences. Until now, there are many similar cases all over the world in which people are sacrificed by those in power and for different reasons. The Rohingya massacre, the Myanmar coup, the Hong Kong crisis, and the UIR genocides are a few examples. The lessons we should learn from the April 3rd incident is to show deep respect and love for all humankind. We have already been through this, so we can sympathize with their pains and feel their fears. Supporting people who are sacrificed by those in power and helping build a consensus around the world will be the most important future values that Jeju, the island of peace, should hold dear. Thank you so much.